Welcome to Wealth and Wellness Realtors, where we are going to explore all aspects of the real estate industry. I am Ida Janali, joined today with my co-host agent, Karma Dolkar, and a very special guest. And today we are going to dive into one of the most critical elements of any real estate transactions, which is the title company. So whether you are a seller or a buyer, understanding the function of a title company is essential for ensuring the smooth completion of your real estate deal and transaction. Joining us today is my very good friend Carina Tom. She is with NuWorld Connect Title. Carina is not only a close friend, but also a true expert with years of knowledge and experience in both titles and real estate. She has an incredible depth of understanding of how the title company works and also the role that it plays in successful real estate transactions. So we are thrilled to have you here with us today.
Carina, welcome to our podcast, and thank you so much for having us and joining the conversation. And we're looking forward to this conversation to talk more about the title company and its process within the real estate. And before we get started, very basic questions. Can you explain to us on a higher level what is a title company and what is its main role in the real estate transaction?
Oh, that's an amazing question. Karma, it's an honor to be here with the both of you here today. But title insurance is a very important part of the real estate transaction. A lot of times people that are in real estate don't quite have an understanding of what title insurance is. They've heard of it. But in essence, what title insurance is doing is protecting the legal rights to the property. So when a buyer buys a property and there's title insurance that's given, they're protecting the deed, the title, all the legal rights to that property. So it's basically saying that you're acquiring this property free and clear of any judgments, any liens, any potential owners that are out there that could come in the future and say that they have rights. It's actually giving you that protection to one of the largest assets that you're going to buy, right? Most of the time it is the largest asset that you will buy in your lifetime. So it's really amazing to be a part of the industry and be able to offer good title insurance.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's actually a very crucial and important starting point, especially for both homeowners and sellers when they are dealing with a transaction of something so important and critical, which is a home sale.
Right.
So if we can actually dive a little bit more in terms of both buyers and sellers, and a lot of people understand the basic concept of what a title company is, but we want to discuss a little bit more from a buyer's perspective. What does a title company actually do in order to protect a buyer during the process of a real estate transaction?
Okay, so that's actually we're going to get more into like the technicality, the steps that are taken. So when a buyer, you're working with a buyer, right? And you guys are taking that buyer out. At that point, the buyer gets an offer accepted, and it's very exciting. An attorney at that point is contacted for a contract. And so once both the buyer side and the seller side sign that contract, right? So now you're in fully executed. Yay!
I'm excited.
You're in contract. So at that point, the attorney's going to go ahead and order what is called a title search from a title insurance company like myself.
Yeah.
So when that title search is ordered through our company, that's the first step. That's the beginning. We take that contract, we take the information that's on that contract, which is the property address. We're going to take the buyer's names, especially the seller's names. At that point, we're going to start producing what we call a title search, and most of the information that we gather in order to put this title search together is at the county clerk's office. So at the county clerk's office all over the United States, not just New York State, there's what we call county clerks, and every property is registered there. So every property has its own identification number. We like to call it the section, block, and lot, or in the boroughs here, Queens, Brooklyn, it's block and lot. But those identifying numbers are very important because that's registered at the county clerk's office, and so now it's got its own space there. And I like to say that everything that's legal pertaining to the property information is recorded there. It's registered there. So if a property has an owner, right, and what makes it the owner? It's not just, me going to you and saying, can I have your property? And then you give me a deed, and then I put it in the safe. That deed is then recorded at the county clerk's office, and that's what makes it legal. The fact that it's recorded there. So when we are producing our search, we pull what we call the last deed of record, the last deed that's showing there. On that last deed of record is going to say who the current owner is. And so we're going to match that together with the contract, the information that's on the contract. That's very important because we want to make sure that the people that are saying that they can sell that property are the right people that could sell it. Now, if we find some extra names, we're going to go ahead and work with the seller's attorney and say, well, why is there an extra person here? Who is that person and where are they? Are they aware that this is being sold? So that's part of our search. Then the next thing that we do is we go ahead and we go into searching for any mortgages that are listed against the property. So that's another important document that gets recorded at the county clerk's office against that section block and lot or block and lot against that property. And so any open mortgages that have ever been established for this property are going to be there, or even closed mortgages. There's a history. So that history is there, and we pull that information, we gather that. That's important for the seller's side to see. It's important for the buyer's side to see. It's also important for the bank side to see as well if they're taking out a loan, because the bank is going to want to make sure that everything's correct with the property before they issue all this money, right? Before they loan all this money, lend the money. So then the next thing is, so we're pulling all the open mortgages. Then we're going ahead and looking for any judgments, any liens, any bankruptcies that are being, filed against the property and also against the current owner, right? So sometimes owners, there's debt that they might not have paid, and you get a judgment. There might be taxes, your personal taxes, your business taxes that you're not going ahead and paying, and there might be a debt, so that also gets everything legally gets registered at the county clerk's office. So this is all part of our search. And then moving forward, we go into a building department. We see if there's any certificate of completions, which we call a CO search. We do a street report search. We see if there's any violations, emergency violations. All this is more information that we're gathering to put together what we call a title search. So now also we check the real estate taxes of the property, see if there's if everything's up to date with the real estate taxes. Are there any taxes in arrears? Sometimes a homeowner might not be able to pay their real estate taxes for a few years, so that's arrears. So why is a title search important? Number one, it's important for the title company because in essence we are an insurance company. So we want to make sure we do our due diligence and make sure that everything's cleared up, right? Any open mortgages that are current are going to be paid off. Any judgments that are current that are directly against this property, we're going to make sure that those are taken care of and handled. Any IRS tax liens from the owner, which would attach to his asset currently, that's going to be taken care of and paid off. Very important, because when we give our title insurance the day of the closing to the buyer, we're in essence telling them, we are going to protect you from anything from the past, not from the future. In the future, if you want to get tax liens and you want to not pay your real estate taxes, that's on you. We're not protecting you that. We're just telling you that the day of the closing and back, we have made sure everything's been cleared up and we're giving you title insurance on a free and clear property. So that's the importance of what title insurance is doing. And the title search is very important because then it gets reviewed by the buyer's side, by the seller's side, by the bank side, and by the title company. So we're all reviewing that information together. Some information that's on our title searches are for information only. We like to say as far as title because we're not so concerned about it, but we give it so that the buyer's attorney can say, well, why are there open permits on this property? There was a deck that was never inspected, the CO was never finalized. That might be a negotiation tool with the seller side, where they can come up with a number, of how to get it resolved.
Correct.
The title company provided it for information only in the title search, but it's a
Yes.
very important information that needs to be addressed.
Correct.
So in essence, that's what we're doing in title. I mean, I summarized
No,
it.
Yeah.
I can go very in depth with it, but it's very
I
important.
think
No,
that's a
it
great
is.
point, because for us as agents, when we help our buyers, we go on the DOB. We also look for open permits, violations. We
Yes.
make sure on the surface level where we can
Correct.
help and we do our due diligence. But it looks like the title company actually comes in and then does a more deeper search into the whole thing where we don't see from our own eyes, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's where it's very important.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
important. We're the eyes and ears.
Yeah.
We're gathering the information. We're working together with all sides, all parties in the transaction. But it's important to work with a reputable title insurance
Yeah,
company.
Exactly.
100%.
That's very, very important.
And that's key, of course, because that's when you're going to receive all the necessary information that you need. This way
Correct.
you have the sense of, okay, I can actually go to sleep in peace tonight because I
Yes.
know that the due diligence, it was completed from A to Z and nothing has been left for me to question.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
even though that's such an important takeaway for the buyers, we also want to discuss a little bit from a seller's perspective. What does a title company do for a seller?
So for a seller, we're providing a search, we're providing information for the property that they currently own, that they're trying to sell. It's very important for them to be aware of what is there. Sometimes sellers aren't aware that things are attaching to their property. There might have been a divorce, there might have been a split between partners, and there might be an old mortgage that they weren't aware that was there. So we're providing that information. We're also giving a breakdown of what taxes for the property may be owed. Sometimes, like I said, things happen in life and they're not aware of what is going on. Maybe they thought their significant other is paying the bills for the house and they're really not. So having the access to this information is very important for a seller, because an informed seller, right, then you know what's there, what you need to fix, what could be eating up the value of your property, right? So these are important factors when you have an investment like a property.
Exactly. Yes.
I think it's great that you mentioned that, because I feel like sometimes there are times when sellers overlook the importance of a title insurance, right?
Yes.
And so do you think, what are your common things that you come up with, misconceptions that sellers have for title companies? Any title?
A lot of times, sellers, you'll pay off, for example, a mortgage, and this mortgage probably was paid off like 10, 15 years ago. And for example, each lender that you pay off, they should have a lien release department and a satisfaction is prepared.
Oh, okay.
But that step is missed a lot of times. So, for a seller, a lot of times not having that awareness of how things were not handled properly, that's where we step in and we help them, resolve these issues. So that's something that the title company is working with the sellers on, and that's why it's important to work with a reputable title insurance company.
Yeah.
No, absolutely, and that's
Yeah.
key, especially in real estate transactions, because
Yes.
it could be thousands and thousands of dollars that you are going to be paying for the rest of your life, or 30
Exactly.
years, or 20 years. It all depends, of course, on the needs of every person and during that period of time where they are also in their life, right?
Yes.
So a mortgage that could be maybe $300,000, it will now cost you $450,000 at the end of by when you're paying it off. But you want to make sure that everything is clear. And that's
Correct.
actually a wonderful and great point, because being proactive and addressing all of these concerns from day one, it will actually help you go into a closing and knowing that you are actually doing the right thing for yourself.
That's so true. And there's other things that could happen too when, we provide that title search, or a seller is now being more informed. They see that maybe something was recorded against their property, incorrectly, you know, so it gives them an opportunity to correct that.
Correct.
You know,
They can actually rectify it
exactly.
and figure out a way with attorneys or
Correct.
even the building department or anyone that can come in the middle, like a mediator or somebody that can actually assist them through the process of rectifying the issue.
And that's what we're here for. We're a resource in this industry. We like to work hand in hand with all the different, vendors, all the different people, realtors that are here that make this transaction a good transaction. But outside of that, also we're here to help. You know, we're here to offer information.
Yes.
A lot of agents reach out to me and they tell me, you know, I sat with this potential seller and they're saying, oh, well, they're not sure if they're on the deed to the property. They're not sure if, work construction was ever completed the right way. You know, they're not sure if after their divorce, if these mortgages are still showing against their property when it was already settled in the divorce. There's a lot of different situations that happen, and that's why I like to say a good reputable title insurance company will be a resource.
Yes, absolutely.
And will be there to help.
Absolutely.
You know, because if you look at it as just a business and you know you're just working on a transaction and that's what it is, then that's how you're going to see it. But it's going to show differently when you're there to really help people.
Exactly.
Then that shows a big difference.
Exactly.
You know?
Especially when you're about to go to the closing table and now things end up coming up that you had no idea for.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's why even for us as agents, for example, it's so important to actually get to know the homeowner. Are you the only owner? Has there been another owner?
Yeah.
Like
Correct.
ask questions, get a familiarity, right? And be able to address certain issues beforehand. And then I can also provide more information to you during the process and say, so far, this is what I have found out. And then while you do your due diligence also, which of course goes so much more in depth,
right.
then you'll be able to address every single situation.
Yeah.
Right. And also, you know, showing that you want the deal to go smoothly, helping agents, helping you guys shine is really important, helping the lenders as well. You know, not be so stressed out trying to close those deals, you know, just being there to help them, you know, be able to get that deal closed is such an inner satisfaction that I've received through the industry so many years that I've been here. And, you know, you can't put a price on that.
Exactly.
You just can't.
Exactly. And do you think there is any other steps that take place right before you go to closing?
Oh, yeah. I mean, like I
As a title
said,
company, like,
as the title insurance company, we're working hand in hand with all the parties. So now we're all, once this search goes out, we all have our homework to do.
Yeah.
So we're going to go down the checklist and say, okay, what's going on with this? There's a corporation, so we need the documents for the corporation. There's an open permit that you guys, if you guys need to address it amongst each other. Now, if you want to call the building department and have it re-inspected and have it finalized, then we have to update our search. So we're working with everyone at all times, also survey companies. You know, you want to do a survey of the property.
Yes.
Now there's a whole drawing of the property, of all the lines, the map, I like to say, of the property. So now we're providing that to all sides, and you know, you guys are confirming that this is, that this was done accurately. My title insurance company, we have experts on our production team that review that information, make sure that the legal description of the property that is written out matches with the survey that was just given to us by a licensed surveyor, and that's also read into what we call into the title report, into the title search. And that's extra coverage for the buyer. So, you know, and we're following the lead of the buyer's attorney also. So, because at the end of the day, he's protecting the rights to his buyer and making sure that the transaction was done correctly.
yes,
So the survey actually is also part of the title insurance company?
Yes,
It's part
well,
of the
not
procedure?
this is part of the procedure,
Yeah.
but we hire outside survey companies that
okay.
produce, licensed surveyors that produce these
Nice.
surveys.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yes.
it's really
Great.
great.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to fences, right?
Yes, that's very popular here in New York.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in the suburbs. So
In Long Island also.
In Long Island, it's huge. Yeah.
Whose
So
fence is it? Where's my property stop?
Yeah.
in Long Island and Westchester, anywhere where it's the suburbs,
Yes.
you're going to run into these situations where a neighbor could go ahead and decide to, build their fence halfway on your property or take up half of your sidewalk, your driveway, and it's like, that's not right. But that's where title insurance comes in, and we're saying, no, these are the actual lines to this property. This is what we insured. We're saying that this is rightfully your
Yours.
property, and now if your neighbor decides, we can help you dispute it. We'll pay legal fees, and all those things go into play, part of your title insurance.
So you can assist them during the process
Correct.
also.
Correct.
And
yes.
guide them who to speak to
And guide
what
them.
to do.
Yes. And also what title insurance is doing is we're also protecting, so we, at the day of the closing, there's a deed that's executed, and on that deed says that you're now the rightful owner. Now in the future, somebody were to knock on your door and say, oh no, that was my sister and she shouldn't have sold it without my permission. I have rights to that property. At that point, your title insurance company is going to be contacted, and we would go to fight for you. And so it's important to work with a reputable title insurance company because we're going to be in here for the long haul. We're not a fly-by-night company.
Right.
We work with the largest underwriters. So title insurance, we have underwriters that issue the insurance. And so working with the best underwriters, we know that, let's say, 20 years down the road, a buyer goes ahead and buys a property. They got title insurance policy the day of the closing. And it's not something that they renew on a monthly basis or even on a yearly basis.
Right.
They pay it one time the day of the closing until they no longer own the property. So the whole entire time they own it. So 20 years from now, there's a dispute about, where your property line ends. People are trying to take half of your property. You can contact your title insurance company, which was the underwriter, the insurer, and they will be around for the long haul. When you work with the the best, you know that they're going to be here for the longevity, and that's what we pride ourselves in doing.
I actually have a question, a little bit more specific actually. Let's say a homeowner, they have a house and their neighbor's house is right next to them, right? They're attached. And right now, let's say the homeowner has access to the backyard. It is easement, and they have, let's say, a driveway, but the neighbor does not have it. And then the current homeowner buys the neighbor's property, so now he owns both properties. And if he were to actually create a driveway to the neighbors, would that be part of the survey? Or like in going forward, if he were to sell it to a new owner, is that something that sticks?
He would do, the person that bought both the properties, at that point, if he wants to change the layout or basically
the
driveway, let's say, that's all done through the building department. So he would go to like the zoning board and then, contact the building department, and they would offer guidance on how to do that the proper way, so that then it's documented, so that, it becomes legal.
Makes
and,
sense.
When he goes to sell it, there aren't any issues for the future owner.
Okay.
Because it's done the legal
And
way.
then basically
That's
during a new title search, that would
Yeah.
also come up. That would be one of the
Right.
information
Correct.
that will arise.
Correct. That it was all done the legal
Legal
way.
way.
That it was legalized.
And if
Correct.
they were to sell both properties in the future separately, so the new owners would actually still gain access to the driveway. So it's
Right. And sometimes there's even, obviously attorneys get involved in
Yeah.
those types of matters as well. For the neighbors
Yeah.
also,
Yeah.
but there's agreements that are formed, and those agreements are legalized also. They get recorded at the county clerk's office. Like, for example, a boundary line agreement. It's an actual agreement, and then that gets registered along with the deed at the county clerk's office. So it's all documented and legalized.
Got it. And one more question. So I personally work here in Queens mostly. And sometimes I notice when I go out to Long Island, to show properties, and we look for the DO. Here we have the DOB, so we have everything outlined. But in Long Island, it's a little bit different, right?
Oh yeah, we're much more antiquated.
Yeah.
We're like in the Stone Age in Long Island.
It's like you have
Here in the boroughs, you
Yeah.
guys are ahead of the game. Everything's
there.
online, and so things are being e-recorded. Things are going much quicker.
Yeah.
Some parts of Long Island or some parts of upstate Westchester's
It's
similar. It's different. It's still
very different.
antiquated.
Exactly.
So listen, you got to get used to all the different parts.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know why that is. Hopefully in the future we'll all catch up.
Yeah, exactly.
That'll be really nice.
Correct, because
nice
most
to
of the
know.
time,
Yeah.
agents from Queens that come out to Long Island, they
Yeah.
always ask, so, I was looking for some information about the property. Would you happen to know the website?
Yeah.
Well, you can go on the website, but there's really no information.
No, you have to go down.
You have to walk down to
Yeah.
City
Correct.
Hall and find all this information.
Yes.
While here in New York, in New
Yeah,
York City, I should say,
yeah.
you can just DOB.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can look for anything.
Sometimes
Exactly.
it takes like 3 weeks to hear back. It's insane.
You have to go down to the building department and file what is called a
Yeah.
FOIL.
Oh.
You have to do a FOIL. Yes.
FOIL.
FOIL, I
right?
believe. I think it's a FOIL. Yeah.
But that, I'm sure it takes a while, like at least a few weeks.
It depends. I work with some examiners that are part of my team that get me information really, really quickly. So it is important for you to have a relationship with a title insurance company because I have pull in some of these building departments. Don't tell anyone.
You see, this is why it's important to work with a reputable company.
Yeah.
Yes, so I'm able to get these searches a lot
Yeah.
quicker.
That's
Absolutely.
wonderful.
Yes.
That's really
I
good.
can pull some miracles. I've been
Well,
told.
Karina, we know that you are in the business for so many years.
Yes.
Like I was telling Karma earlier, also like over 30 years.
Yes.
And we would really like to know two things. Any other advice that you would like to give to both sellers and buyers?
Yeah.
And where can they find you?
So, I'm here. For those of you that don't know me, and I was introduced before, Carina Tom. I'm the owner, president, NuWorld Connect Title here in New York. We are a full service title insurance company. One advice that I would tell buyers and sellers is be as informed as possible. Pick the best team possible, whether you're selling. Make sure that you have an amazing listing agent. You're working with a real estate attorney. If you're buying, definitely the team matters. The lender, the realtor that basically is in control of every part of the transaction, also that is able to refer a really good real estate attorney in the local area, also is able to refer a really good title insurance company. The reason is because when you're a buyer, you want to be able to have direct access to whatever part of the transaction might be at a standstill. And so being with an informed agent, number one, forming a very, very strong relationship with them, where you're a team from the beginning, is going to make sure that everything's going to go as smooth as possible. And so working with people that also have a reputation in the industry like myself, I'm very proud of my reputation because I worked very hard at it. And I learned as much as there is to know about title. That's why I'm a proud owner now. And I don't say it lightly. I'm out there really making sure everyone's getting to the closing table, that communication's happening at all times. And it's not just myself, it's my production team. They're also amazing. So that's the experience that you as a buyer should want.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's my advice.
And those are great advices, so thank you so much. And also, it's been a pleasure having you here and sharing all this knowledge. And I'm sure our listeners out there, they're learning so much from this. So
Yes,
thank you.
absolutely.
I love it.
Thank you.
It's an honor to be here today.
It was an honor for us as well.
I love you
Truly
both. You guys are
appreciate it.
doing amazing, and we're here. We're all a resource, and we want to just make sure that now this year especially, that buyers are as informed as possible. And there's lots of closings that are happening, but the best experience possible. And it just doesn't end at the day of the closing too. It's a lifelong relationship. In the future, if you call a reputable title insurance company or a real estate professional, like the both of you guys are always going to pick up the phone and you're going to reassure them of whatever it is that they may need help with. I have buyers call me long after the closing and they have a question, and even if it doesn't apply, even if it isn't something that my title insurance company was responsible for, I feel responsible in the way that I want to offer guidance.
Exactly.
So that's important.
Exactly.
100%.
And your insight and guidance also has definitely been valuable throughout all the years.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's the reason why everybody comes to you, everybody contacts you, and
Yes.
everybody reaches out for advice.
I feel so blessed. I really do.
And the same goes for me as well. Like whenever I need
Yes.
an answer to something that I'm not certain for, I actually do reach out and I do
Correct.
get that guidance. And that's
Yeah.
one of the things that Karina does the most.
Yes.
She provides you the knowledge that she has. Thank you so much again.
Yeah.
It
It's
has
an
been a
honor.
pleasure.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I wanted to say a little closing line, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, go ahead. I like it. I like it.
So thank you everyone for tuning into our Wealth and Wellness Realtors. And if you like our information, if you want to continue looking for more contacts, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.
Take care.
Thank you.